How are you, Mrs. Calvin? Okay.
I'm wonderful,
Bring it
and
home.
I'm going to bring
All
it
right.
home, and I'm going to be fast, I promise, because I'll be honest. First of all, good evening, Dr. Davis and Board of Education and all of our parents out there. My colleagues have done a great job of really speaking to the four questions, which really are from the PLC. Rick DeFore is made those four questions very famous, and it drives what we do in all of our schools. So I am going to be brief, Dr. Davis. I would like to first introduce my team. I am Brenda Calvin. I'm the principal at Huth. There is Miss Amy Treadwell, assistant principal, Mr. Scott Chandler, assistant principal, and Mr. Rogowski, Mike Rogowski, the dean of students. This is the team that has done the work along with our teachers to really bring the 2024-2025 school year, take us off in a great start, and we know we're going to finish strong as well. So at the Huth, our vision is that all students, every all means all, are socially, emotionally, and academically prepared for high school. That is the charge of any middle school in our nation, in our world. So we take that very personally, and it is our goal to really stand on that and say when our students walk across the stage as eighth graders and we hand them a diploma, that they are prepared for the rigors of high school. We exist. We exist at Huth. Our staff, our students, we exist to ensure that our students have the ability and confidence to pursue all future aspirations. That's very important to us because middle school is the time when they start thinking about what I want to do with my life. When we talk about the four questions, the first question is what do we want our students to learn? When we communicate with the high schools, when we look at the data from the IAR, we know that there are priority standards that my colleagues have mentioned. At the middle school, specifically in seventh grade for mathematics, we are going to really focus on expressions and equations, number systems, ratio and proportions. At the eighth grade, it's expressions and equations. Again, you can see patterns, as my colleagues talked about through the grade levels, there's patterns. So you'll see that really when we get to the ELA piece, but geometry and functions also at the eighth grade level are places where our high school colleagues have said we really need to, they would appreciate us focusing there, right? But in addition to that, our IAR data states that our students can stand to grow in those areas. But in addition to that, reasoning and modeling with mathematics through written expression, our students not only need to be able to do the computation, they have to write about the math. They have to really be able to write about what the explanation as to why they chose to attack a problem in the way that they've done. So that is mathematics, and I have to address a little bit of like the elephant in the room. The math fluency around addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division is still a problem in the middle school. So as my colleagues have asked, I am also asking our parents, go home, and I'm going to ask this again at open house, and we're going to ask the parents to give us some feedback, but I'm asking parents even tonight, see if your children know their times tables, times 6 times 6, 6 times 7, 8 times 7. Ask them. They should be able to give you those responses with automaticity at the 7th and 8th grade level. And that's going to set them up to be a little bit more proficient as they attack that higher level of mathematics. As it relates to ELA, as my colleagues have stated, citing evidence from texts, identifying central idea, and really writing across all disciplines, writing in history class, writing in science, writing in math. That's going to be our focus at the Huth this year to ensure that our students can communicate via writing as well. What do we how do we know that our students have learned it? We all know that we take our STAR 360. It's our benchmark assessment in our district 3 times a year. That gives us some good information, and it allows us to kind of track where we're going. But the work of the PLC is really what's going to let us know if our students have learned it. So the common formative assessments, teachers will get together and create those common formative assessments. The students will take those assessments, and this is not necessarily always for a grade. The information from these assessments really drives the teacher's instruction. So they may or may not get a grade for that common formative assessment, but really it's the student work analysis that gives the teachers the information that says, okay, this is what I need to do now that I see how my students have performed on this assessment. In regards to what we will do if our students did not learn it. This year at the Huth, one of our changes is we've gone back to a block schedule, and because we know that more, Dr. Davis is clapping, and the reason for this is because, and I know why she's clapping, she's always talking to us about catching up, and we know research shows that in order to catch up, you have to give more time on task. So more time, if a student is struggling in mathematics, guess what? They need more time in mathematics. So our block schedule really does allow for that. It allows for it in a way that we have what we call our focused intervention time. That in math and ELA, that gives us several, 200, almost 200 additional minutes a week when we count our after-school tutoring, that a student that may be struggling to learn a concept, that they can get that catch-up growth, that catch-up time. And so that's very, very important. And in regards to what will we do when they've already learned it? Because when a student sits for core instruction and the teachers look at that student work analysis and they say, okay, students, either they've got it or they don't. Okay, we know we talked about what we'll do with our students that don't give them, we're going to give them that catch-up time. But guess what? The same thing has to happen with our students that have mastered that concept. They were able to learn that concept the first time around. They're ready to be enriched. Okay, they're ready to be enriched, and we have adopted wonderful curriculum in this district. Every single curriculum that we have adopted has an enrichment and an extension tasks that students can work at so they can be more rigorous, as I think Ms. Hasona said, so that they're using those critical thinking skills and they're really doing more work. But also there's an opportunity to accelerate. So if a student has mastered that concept after the core instruction, then teachers may say, guess what, this group of students, they're ready to move on to the next. No point in holding them back for the rest of the class to catch up, right? So those are the 4 questions, but the one thing I wanted to mention is ownership by our students. This year, a big shift is we are ensuring that our students take ownership for their learning. 4 times a year, students will review their own personal data, their attendance data, their STAR 360 data, their behavior data, right? We're going to review that data. They're going to set goals. Students need to experience success and they have to set their own. We all do the same thing. We have goals to get that next degree. We have goals to achieve, buy a house. We set goals. Students have to set goals and they have to see themselves being successful at achieving those goals so they'll continue to set goals in the future. So this is just a snippet, Dr. Davis, of what's going to happen at the Huth. We invite all of our parents out there to come meet our staff. We are fully staffed. We are ready to go. And we have a whole lot more that we want to share with you at Open House on September 11th.